So you have cleared the portfolio round and the team really liked your presentation as well as your portfolio. Now they want another round. And a lot of designers get confused here because the question suddenly becomes harder. It's no longer about what did you design, but it's more about why did you design it in this certain way. This is what they call the portfolio follow-up round. Now, depending on the company that you are interviewing with, you might have one or two portfolio follow-up round. And everyone in this interview is trying to understand one question, that can you think them through the problem and the solution, both product as well as design domain. Now, in this video, I'll break down what the hiring panel is looking for and how do you structure your answers around it. So let's dive in. So we will go over these four things in this video. One is, what is the purpose of this call? Second, what are they scanning when they are going into the portfolio follow-up round, and what should your response be? And we will take a look at the real life examples towards the end. So starting with the first segment, which is the purpose of this call. Now, to give you a one-line answer, that would be that portfolio isn't enough. Sometimes you have to also explain your thinking around it. So let's suppose you are an applicant who has applied, and then first you will have a hiring manager round, then you will have a portfolio follow-up round, and then based on that, you will have a follow-up round as well. Now, one thing that you have to remember here is that this will reveal how you think. And some of the bad thing that you can do here is that we make it very context heavy, go over time, and do not show any data or research backed approach to your decision making. Some of the good thing that you can do here is make sure that the problem is very well explained, then show what are the struggle that you went through, and then how did you manage either certain stakeholder or certain limitation that you had with your project. So that's the first segment. The second segment is what reviewers are actually evaluating. So they are evaluating two things. One is your product thinking. The second one is your design thinking. So starting off with the product thinking, they want to make sure that you are solving the right problem or not. And then second, if you have the user understanding, who is your target user. Second part is the collaboration, making sure that you highlight the stakeholder availability and what was the feedback, and then if there was any conflict, make sure to go over that as well. The third part is the delivery aspect. So delivery aspect meaning what system did you use, what interaction that you brought up, and then if you made any use of AI or not. And the last bit is the design execution bit. So here they will ask around like, the UI graph flows that you did, and then some of the interactions. So that's the second segment. The third segment is a simple walkthrough formula. So what I have done here is used a similar formula that we discussed previously. So that is called a STAR framework. So what we have to do is remove the S and just use the TAR framework, because S is for situation, and situation you have already explained in your portfolio. Then one thing that you have to remember here is that you do not have to go and explain your screen. You have to explain your thinking there. Now, starting off with the task. So first thing is, what was the problem? What was the context? What was your exact role? Second one is the action. What action did you take? What was the decision? What trade-off? And how did you manage this chaotic project? And the third thing is results. And why did you finally decide to go in that direction? And the last one is, what are the result or metric that you achieved with this approach? Now, some of the bad thing that you can do here is go them feature by feature. Is it does not have any human connection to it. So in reality, a project can be very chaotic and it has so many moving aspects of it. So they want to know this whole thinking, but in a very condensed format. So one of the good thing that you can do here is tell a story. So let's imagine you say that first we started with this, so frame the problem, then we faced this, then we tried a bunch of things, some of them didn't work, but one thing would work, and we started developing it more, and then we launched it, and then we got better results. And that's how you show your thinking. And the last segment here is some real life example. So one thing that you have to remember here is you have to just keep this in mind, that you have to convince them that why certain thing worked from your perspective. So let's suppose starting with a product thinking question. One of the questions, this is just a made up question, could be that you improved onboarding completion by 18%. And how do you know that that was the right problem to solve? Now, some of the thing that you can start is like explaining the task. So the activation was low and only 32% of people completed this setup. So that means that a lot of users are just not being onboarded to your platform. So then you can talk about the action. We analyzed funnel data and saw most of the user dropping off in the initial setting up phase. And then instead of redesigning the screen immediately, we tried to understand what the actual problem was. And then what we realized that we were asking users to connect their account too early in the process. Now, what we did to mitigate that situation was We let the user explore the product on their own, and later on we ask them to commit or to connect certain things later on. The lesson here was that the UI wasn't bad, we were just asking for the commitment too early. Sometimes the solution is not changing the UI, sometimes the solution is just making certain changes at the flow, and that would generally lead to a better solution in this particular scenario. The second is around design thinking. So let's suppose, how did you choose this design particularly over the other ones? So you can show that the original interface showed all the information in one single screen. And then we explored multiple direction, and one of the direction was very overwhelming. When we did some user testing or just a very regular testing format, we found out that the user was not very happy with the information, and then they felt overwhelmed. And based on all of these direction, we decided to go with a much simpler approach. So it worked in a better way, but also reduced the support ticket. So this is one of the example. The exact example will look different, but do try to use any AI just to form up some of these things, because ultimately you have to show your thinking and why certain things work and don't. And this is final takeaway for all of you. So the portfolio round tests what you think, but the follow-up round tests how you think. So we started with our resume call, then you got into the intro call, then there was hiring manager round, then the portfolio round, and now currently you are waiting for your follow-up round. So congratulations if you have made it this far. I know the journey has been hard, but congrats to you that you made it. And in this round, you have to only remember these 4 things. One, you have to tighten up any loose ends that you might have, and you have to do that by explaining your thinking. That you have to explain why it happened, show the product as well, design rationale, then use STAR framework, task, action, and result. And ultimately, you have to convince them that this is why it worked. And once they are convinced, you will be given a go ahead, and hopefully you'll get the offer. This wraps up the final video for our series, which was how do you prepare for your design interviews. And yeah, looking forward to the next one. Till then, take care.